understanding through one's experience. I try to share through my experiences of how you become a better classroom manager with her, or how you build your confidence to know that you can teach the content and get kids to learn. You do the same. Process of acquiring, process of organizing, and that knowledge is learning and teaching. That means that there's not just one person in here that knows it all. I'm not the one person that knows it all. I'm just facilitating it. But we all can bring our experiences together and link together, and that's when knowledge to me becomes power, when it's shared. In my little video thing, I have a picture with people, teachers, holding hands together. Why do I have that picture in there? Somebody tell me. Go ahead, Damon.
It takes everybody.
It takes everybody. Okay, good. It does.
Everybody has something to contribute to the overall.
Okay, good. Everybody has something that they can bring and contribute. Now, everybody is not of the same content, so does that mean that they shouldn't hold hands? How many of you in here say that you're not a reading teacher? Why didn't somebody raise their hand that you're not a reading teacher? That's right. You have to teach some form of reading. Now, this is the scary one now. But how many of you would say you're not a math teacher? This is a scary one.
I used to say it until how I figured out. I guess I'm a genius. I know how to use math to teach sentence structure. I use math to teach them to count clauses, and even though it's very basic math, but it's math.
I do it through algebra. How the rubric translates to your grade.
Right.
You average schools and all that kind of stuff.
Beautiful. 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 And there's levels of math, just like levels of anything, you know, concrete and abstract and all of that kind of stuff. But everybody has a form. I mean, you have to balance your money, you know, when you spend. You got to know that if I have $200 and I spend $100, that I don't still have $200 in there. There's so many ways you use math that people don't necessarily think about it at times. So everybody's still a math teacher. How many of you say that you're not a history teacher? How many of you lived during 9/11? All of us, right? Do you remember that day? Is that a part of history? Do we use that history sometimes to prove another point in this day and time? That's why airports are like they are now. Because of what? 9/11. Okay? So we can't say, so that teacher with their arms linked together not only means the unity and the sharing best practices and linking together and all of that. It doesn't just mean that. It means that and everything else. Meaning this, all contents are interlocked with each other. So if we're going to create a culture of learning, we can't just see ourselves as content teachers. I only do math. That's Kathy's job right there. She's the English person. I only do math. We can't see that. We have to see ourselves as in a teaching and learning environment. And in your student portfolio, do you have this and all of that? And what about you? Are you on the honor roll? I was like, how do you go from a culture that didn't value education to a culture that did in 5 years? How did you do that? I didn't do it by myself. We developed what? Systems.
And when you talk about that system, I'm reminded of a story that was shared with me some time ago about a paradigm shift that needs to take place in the African American community, whereas in other cultures, i.e. Latin cultures and other nationalities, when they relate to their family, they have systems in place where there are family gatherings, like when you see Latins and Latin Americans or Mexicans at the park, they all go and play soccer, or they all go to the park and hang out. And within the African American community, we rally behind one figure, that great aunt or that grandmother, i.e. like soul food, some of the movies that we watch that are popular. And when that person dies, the information is not tracked.
That's right.
Or the traditions are not passed on. That happens regularly.
And the family goes every direction and all, because that was the jail and all that. And so that's what we don't want as administrators, as a classroom teacher. You don't want all the kids' knowledge just to be linked into you. So like I said, one, I teach this and facilitate this workshop. One, to deal with yourself, because you got to rethink yourself. You got to reflect on yourself and change the way you think, the way I think. And then also, if you're going to influence that on other folks, then you got to be a practitioner yourself. And so my thing is this. Rome wasn't built in one day, and it definitely wasn't built by one man. Okay? So it takes, just like I said, that picture, everybody linking together and really joining in. It takes the whole village. Develop the abilities to influence behavior. And like I said in my opening, we've done too much to promote the negative. When we sit in the teacher's lounge and allow the teachers to talk about how these kids ain't gonna never do it, and we sat there, well, I ain't say nothing, but did you agree? Silence means what? Compliance agreement? Yeah. So if we say those things, we start to believe, that means we believe it. If we don't say it, that means that we're in agreement with those that did say it. So it's up to us individuals to start. That's how you start changing the culture. Our teachers got to the point that I had hiring teams. And so, for example, we had 2 6th grade teams. The hiring team was composed of whichever team was going to need that new teacher. And they already had a set, so core values and belief and all that kind of stuff. And when I used them to help me hire, did we do a good hire? Yes, we did. Guess why? Because those teachers did not want me to be the sole person to choose the teachers for their team. So they chose somebody they can work with and make sure that they're successful. That's what we're talking about in that shared responsibility in there. Growth, self-disciplined leaders. Whereas it was nothing for one of my teachers to say to another teacher. Now, sometimes somebody did get a little upset and all of that kind of stuff. But if they were on the hall and that was one of our non-negotiables, and they're supposed to be at the door like I was, speaking to everybody, seeing how everybody's doing when you come in so you can set a good tone for your class, and that you can detect if something's going on and you can hit it real quick and all that kind of stuff like that so that you can go on about the learning. If they weren't at the door doing that, somebody would people there, you okay? You know, and tell them, don't go and say, why aren't you at your door? Don't say that. And say, is everything going all right? You know. That's right. That's right. There's always a way to do it without having to be offensive.